Hi, this SOS video is about adding and subtracting integers. And when we do that, we follow specific rules. So our vocabulary is that integers are whole numbers and their opposites, which means we're not looking for any fractions or decimals. Absolute value means the distance in units from zero. So -7 is 7 units from zero. 5 is 5 units from zero. And evaluate means to find the final value. What is your final number? So when we add integers, there's two different rules. One is if we have the same signs. So if I see the same signs, I add the numbers and I keep the sign. When I have different signs, I subtract the numbers and I keep the sign of the number with the highest absolute value. So an easy way to remember this is same signs sum. You add the numbers and then keep the sign. Different signs, difference. We subtract the numbers, and since there's two different signs, we pick the sign of the number with the highest absolute value. So you're going to do these four questions, pause the video, try it on your own, and start the video up and see how you did. Okay, and we're back. So -6 and a +14, that's different signs. I'm going to subtract these two numbers and I get 8. And I keep the sign of the number with the highest absolute value. So this is 6 units from 0. This is 14 units from 0. This wins and I have a +8. A +8 and a -5, different signs, difference. So I subtract those two numbers. And this 8 is 8 units from 0. This is 5 units from 0. So this is furthest away. It has the highest absolute value. So I keep this as a +3. I could put a little positive sign or just leave it alone. If I don't see a sign, I know that this is going to be positive. -8 plus a -12, same sign, sum. So I add those numbers, 20, and I keep the sign, which is negative. +5 and a -11, different signs, difference. I subtract the numbers. 11 minus 5 is 6. And I look for the one with the highest absolute value. Absolute value of 5 is 5. Absolute value of -11 is 11 because it's 11 units from 0. This is the winner, so we have -6. Now when we subtract integers, we're actually going to keep the first number, change the subtraction sign to a positive, and write the opposite of the second number. Then we'll follow the rule for adding integers. So let's take a look at this. See if you can do it on your own. Pause the video, try it, and then start the video again, and let's see how you did. Okay, we're back. 9 minus a -3. Since this is subtracting, I'm going to keep the 9. I will change the minus to a plus, and the opposite of -3 is a +3. Same sign sum, I add those together, and it keeps that sign, they're both positive. Okay, -4 minus 7. I can keep -4, change the minus to a plus, and this was originally minus a +7, so I changed that to its opposite, -7. And now this is an addition problem. -4 and a -7 is -11. Same sign sum. 11 minus 8. You could remember what you did in first grade, but also if we want to show keep change keep change opposite, we have 11, the minus turns to a plus, and since that had been a +8, we change that to a -8. And now follow the rules for adding. Different signs different, so I subtract those, and I keep the sign of the one with the higher absolute value, which is 11. And finally, -5 minus a -17, I keep the -5, I change the minus to a plus, and the opposite of a -17 is a +17. So I have different signs. When different signs difference, subtract those two, so that's 12. And I take the sign of the one with the highest absolute value. This was 17 units from 0, so this is a positive. Okay, how about some practice with word problems? A hiker dropped his glove. He climbed 7 feet below sea level to get it. So 7 feet below is going to be a -7. And then, so this is plus, he climbed 35 feet higher. If you climb higher, that's going to be positive, positive 35. Write an integer expression that represents the situation, which we just did, and evaluate it. So follow your rules for addition. When I have difference, difference, I subtract that, so that's 28. And I take the sign of the one with the highest absolute value. This was 7 units from 0. This is 35 units from 0. I'm going to keep that positive sign. Please don't write equals, because if you write equals, that's an equation, not an expression. All right, the sum of 6 and another integer is a negative result. So when I take 6 and I add it to my mystery integer, it ends up being negative. What can we conclude about the second integer? So if you think about it, let's draw a number line. And here's 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 6 is the number I'm going to start with. And when I add my mystery number, I'm going to end up with a negative result. So think about that. If I start off with 6 and I go a certain number of units, I'm going to end up with a negative result. So what can we conclude about the second integer? Well, if I'm at 6 and the least negative one I have is at -1, that meant I traveled 7 units to the left. So what can we conclude about the second integer? It is -7 or less. If I had -6 plus 6 would be 0, and that's not negative. So I'm adding either a -7 or a number that's even less than that. And this has been the SOS video on adding and subtracting integers.